Hey there, Patriots. Welcome back to the front lines. This is Death Watch here to give you guys more intel so you can update your personal armory and fight back against the fake news media machine. And today we're going to be discussing Bob Iger is officially, apparently, trying to sell off a lot of Disney's lower assets, right? We have the writer strike. We have the actors now striking as well. We have Disney just straight up bombing, right? When it comes to all of their movie releases this year, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, uh, Disney's Little Mermaid flopped, uh, Lucasfilm's Indy 5 flopped, and also Pixar's Elemental flopped hard. Okay, they're starting to see all their money, flying out their pockets and going towards nothing, right? Especially with the writer strike. Nothing is getting done, right? Nothing is getting done. The movies are flopping, actors are not wanting to work, and the people that they need to continue making new content for their platforms, they're not wanting to work either, right? And so all this is starting to come home to roost. We're starting to see some of these diversity hires that were in charge of a lot of these movie projects that flopped are getting the axe. And so when we look at all this, right, Bob Iger is shifting from building an empire to a Disney yard sale, right? Bob Iger was originally, he left, got replaced by Bob Chapek. Bob Chapek got axed, and now Bob Iger is back because they need him to try to fix everything, right? And so Bob Iger is now looking at this and saying, okay, we need to trim the fat hard, right? We need to cut off all these lower networks that we own, all this crap that's just bleeding us money, right? We need to, close the wallet, right? Our millions of dollars are flying out of our wallets. We need to close the bank up, okay, and start being, stingy with our money right here, okay? So Bob Iger built Disney into the world's most powerful entertainment company by acquiring Pixar, Marvel, and Lucasfilm. Now he's looking to downsize. Iger put roughly a third of the company up for sale this week, declaring Disney's linear TV assets non-core. That includes TV networks, ABC, FX, and Freeform. He also said Disney is looking for a strategic partner for ESPN, though he's not willing to sell the whole thing, and the company is already looking to sell or restructure its TV and streaming business in India, right? So when it comes to ABC and Freeform, right? ABC is your The View, other shows, mainly your news, right? It's really your news. There's a lot of ABC affiliated local news sites. FX and Freeform is your more scripted stuff. A lot of that crap is already on Hulu and Disney Plus, along with whatever is on whatever like IPs they own from 21st Century Fox, right? He also said, ESPN, right? ESPN is everything sports. ESPN Plus. He probably definitely is looking at that because Disney cannot be everywhere cannot be everywhere, right? Especially around the world, where different sports are more important to the local population than sports here in America, right? Um, a lot of exclusivity rights are tied in with what sports are allowed to be streamed on what platform, right? CBS has their own sports network. Fox has their own sports network. Hearst has their own sports networks, and they kind of bid and debate on, hey, we're allowed to show, college basketball this game at this time. You guys can show the next game the next week or whatever, right? And so it's a whole bunch of other stuff that they have to compete with. And so having maybe some other companies now trying to deal with ESPN Plus and their sports streaming directly to the app, yeah, that's probably something that they definitely need help with, right? It's a stunning, if inevitable, turn of events for an executive who spent so much of his career working in TV and for a company that relied on cable networks for the majority of his profits. Okay, before the pandemic, Disney was making 35% or $24.8 billion of company revenue and more than 50% or $7.5 billion of its operating income, right? Yet the accelerating decline of cable TV has limited Iger's options. He solved this problem with Disney Plus and Hulu, his two mass marketing streaming services, but his streaming business is expected to register a loss of about $80 million in the company's just ended third quarter. Management chased streaming subscribers at unsustainable low prices to goose the launch of Disney Plus in 2019, and is now seeking to raise prices without alienating customers. Right, and let's talk about that for a second before we move on. What really is going on here is when it comes to cable TV networking, right, versus streaming services. When it comes to like ABC again, those news networks, right, they make a huge amount of money during when it comes to just news in general. They make a huge amount of money during local elections, the midterm elections, and then presidential elections and debates. Okay, that's where they make a lot of their money because they sit down, they say, okay, we have during these events we have this amount of ad break time, right? And so a lot of these other advertisement companies come out and say, hey, they start bidding for those whatever it be 15, 30 to 30 second to 1 minute spots of that time to say, hey, we will spend anywhere up from $100,000 to $1 million just to have our advertisement put in that time slot in hopes that the consumer, right, you, the audience, happen to see that product and then purchase it, right? News, it's politics, right? It's when the biggest political events happening in the war in America. When it comes to the sports side, it is usually during the NFL Super Bowl. Okay, you can look up how much money these advertisement companies are spending just to have their Super Bowl ad played for the audience at home, right, or at the actual sporting event. Okay, uh, all this stuff comes into play, and so what people have been doing is cutting the cord. People are like, I don't want to sit here and watch these, watch the ad breaks. I just want to see the content. I just want to see my favorite show or whatever. I'm gonna go to the streaming service, right? And they're starting to see that hey, they're not getting their money back in investment, right? Especially when it comes to ESPN, right? Millions of dollars are going to all these sporting events, and the problem is they're streaming all that content directly to the app. Okay. And they're not getting that ad revenue, especially during these bigger like college football national championships, NBA national championships, World Series for baseball, right? They're not getting that ad revenue, right? Because they're streaming the content directly to the app. So the only thing that they can do is to try to up the prices to try to, stifle that a little bit, right? But what's also hurting them right now, like I said previously, is all their movies that came out this year. Besides, what was it? Thor, Love and Thunder. Did that come out this year? Earlier this year? I think that's the only movie that hasn't flopped for Disney so far. Or Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I think that's what Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I don't think that was a flop. But however, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumanium is a flop. Indy 5 for Lucasfilm was a disgrace. Okay, Pixar's Elemental. When I looked at Pixar, right, and that's the problem with Elemental, it was the biggest flop in Pixar's history, right? The worst performing movie ever, right? All the other movies have been a success. Incredibles 2 being the biggest success that Pixar had. When it comes to Elemental, I kind of looked at the ad. When I first saw the ad, I was like, is this like a DreamWorks movie or whatever, right? Because it looked more for like a DreamWorks movie, right? But no, it was Disney Pixar, and I was like, I put myself in a kid's mind, and I was like, there's no way if I was a kid I would be interested in anthropomorphic water talking and anthropomorphic fire talking, right? And a lot of people described it as a short that went on a little bit too long. Whoever had the idea for this most likely came from a short, and they decided to give it a chance, and of course it flopped hard. Okay, with the Little Mermaid, that was supposed to be, everybody kept hyping that up, saying that it was supposed to be a big success. That was a huge flop. Okay, so what's happening now is, again, all the movies that are coming out right now are huge flops back to back. You are starting to see uh strikes happening all around. Writers are striking, saying that hey, we're not getting paid enough money, and it's like, well, of course you guys are not getting paid a lot of money because your movies are trash, your TV series are trash. The streaming services are not, people are leaving because there's not enough good content going on, right? This is, we are in post-pandemic times, right? So you can't really say that it's the pandemic's fault that you're still losing money, you're still losing subscribers. It's no, because you guys aren't providing enough content, right? People are subscribing probably for a month. They release a series, people subscribe for a month to catch up on that series or whatever, and then they immediately unsubscribe and go somewhere else. Or there's really nothing on those apps, right? I know I got rid of like Disney Plus. it really wasn't much content, right? I watched all the '90s animated series Spider-Man, the '90s what was it, X-Men. Watch Gravity Falls. I remember watching all that crap, and then I was like, "There's really nothing else here that I really want to watch." The original Star Wars movies, sure, but eh, I watched them. I already, binge watched them like once, and it doesn't feel, good just constantly rewatching them all, right? Disney is constantly just releasing more trash, and I'm like, I don't want to give these people my money. Um, I don't even think what streaming service do I have now? Probably Max. Max is okay. I'm more of a Cartoon Network kid than I was a Disney or a Nickelodeon with Paramount. It's just not enough. This is really just not enough stuff, right? With Discovery Plus now acquiring Max, they had a lot of more stuff on there now, so that's why I'm still sticking with it. But overall, right, when it comes to the last movie that I think Disney's trying to release this year is Haunted Mansion. It's really I 100% think it's going to flop, right? Nothing towards the actors, nothing towards the directors. It's just kind of out of season. I see why they might want to release it for the summer because kids are out, right? Kids are out, and so they're more likely to go see it than they would when school's back in around October time period, which will be more, in my opinion. This should have been released in October, right? Close to Halloween. A lot of people would like to go see a Halloween themed movie during the weekend, right? Everybody has a weekend available in October to go see this. Even after October, they could have seen this, but to release in July, a bigger chance for kids to go see it, but still out of season. Most people are probably, I don't think most people really remember the original Haunted House. I remember not. I don't even remember it really with Eddie Murphy. I think I saw it. Somebody, I don't know if it was a family member or I saw it on Disney. No, I saw it first at a family member's house. I think they had it on VHS, and then I remember watching a little bit of it when Disney played it on their TV on Disney one night. It was during Halloween or whatever, right? But overall, I believe Haunted Mansion is going to be a flop, right? If Disney's Pixar, which is notorious for being family friendly, kid friendly, that they never had a bad movie, right? If Disney's Elemental flopped hard, then I 100% think Haunted Mansion is going to flop, right? I think when I looked up the Haunted Mansion's original box office, they only made like $78 million, right? And then international combined, they made like a little bit over $100 million, right? So this other Haunted Mansion, they probably spent anywhere over 100 to maybe, I won't even say $200 million. They probably just spent somewhere around $100 million for this movie. They're probably gonna make it back, but it's not gonna be a success because I think the rule of thumb is supposed to be you're supposed to whatever you spend in budget, you're supposed to make at least $2.5 million back. So hopefully, this is probably gonna be a success a little bit. They're probably gonna get some of their money back, but not all of it, right? But overall, I think this is probably gonna be a flop as well because if Little Mermaid, Ariel was a flop, and all these other movies that are far more, notorious for being good movies, right? Marvel still has an audience in that, and Ant-Man flopped. Pixar again never had a bad movie until now, right? It's hard to say, but I think that overall, all these newer movies are just going to flop overall. And so let me know your opinion in the comment section down below. But like always, stay safe, stay sane, be vigilant, and I'll see you Patriots on the battlefield.